What is up, people of the fog? Welcome back to another video. Today we're actually discussing what I believe to be the top 5 killer perk combinations in Dead by Daylight. And I'd be willing to bet that you haven't tried some of these. Before we dive in, of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and turn the bell icon on to continue to get notifications for our tutorials, news videos, and gameplay uploads. But let's dive right in. Perk combination number 1 is Enduring and Spirit Fury. Enduring is a perk that I don't think gets enough love. Reducing the time stunned from pallets by 40 to 50% is a huge boon, especially if you're playing a basic M1 killer who has to just kind of break pallets and move on. But what happens when you add Spirit Fury to the mix? You end up chewing through the survivor resources at an alarming rate. You see, after breaking at most 4 and at least 2 pallets, the next time you are stunned by a pallet, the entity will break it for you. Couple this with reduced stun time, and survivors end up being caught off guard and usually hooked. You can acquire Enduring from Hillbilly when his blood web is level 30, and Spirit Fury comes from, you guessed it, Spirit at blood web level 30 as well. Perk combination number 2, Thanatophobia, Sloppy Butcher, and Forced Penance. Thanatophobia was changed quite a bit recently, but can still be incredibly potent when used correctly. Per each injured survivor, survivors suffer a 4 to 5% stacking slowdown to repair and sabotage speeds. Now, what this does is encourage survivors to stop gen work and to heal, especially if you, as the killer, are splitting pressure and hitting multiple people before committing to a chase. Now, we discussed this strategy in a tutorial right here and why it's smart to split pressure as much as you can, so give that a look and we'll wait patiently for you to come back. Now, a lot of people are running Sloppy Butcher, which slows survivor heal speeds down by 20% if they are hit with basic attacks. And they're running Sloppy Butcher in conjunction with Thanatophobia so that when survivors choose to heal, it does take them longer to do so. But in addition to this, you could run Forced Penance. Forced Penance makes survivors broken or otherwise unable to heal for 60 to 80 seconds if they take a protection hit. In this way, Forced Penance forces survivors into a situation where they take slowdown from Thanatophobia and can't get out of it. This works particularly well on killers like Legion, Pig, Trapper, and in some cases even Plague, where survivors are worrying about other things like mending, bear traps, purging, or trappers' traps. You can get Thanatophobia from Nurse at Blood Web rank 35. You can get Sloppy Butcher immediately, as it is a generic perk, and you can get Forced Penance from Pyramid Head at Blood Web rank 30. Perk combination number 3, Dragon's Grip, Pop, and Trail of Torment. This one isn't necessarily a secret, but there's a lot that goes into it. See, we have Pop Goes the Weasel, which after hooking a survivor, activates. For the next 35 to 45 seconds, you can kick a gen, and it immediately regresses by 25%. In addition to this, we also have Dragon's Grip, which activates after kicking a generator. For the next 30 seconds after a gen is kicked, if a survivor touches that same generator, they suffer from the Exposed status effect for 60 seconds. Exposed, of course, allows you to immediately down a survivor from the healthy state with a basic attack. And then, of course, we have Trail of Torment. This also activates after you kick a gen, and it gives you the undetectable status effect until you either injure a survivor or the gen you kicked regresses to 0. Now, what you have when you combine these 3 perks is a lot of guessing games and mind games for the survivors to handle. Because of Pop Goes the Weasel, you can reduce gen progress by a lot. And once the survivor team does touch that generator and potentially procs Dragon's Grip, you have 2 things. An info perk that tells you a survivor got back on the gen, but also a future deterrent. Many survivors may be afraid of hopping on a gen you just kicked if they're not confident they can loop you until what would be the exposed status effect is worn off. Lastly, you have Trail of Torment. When equipped to Legion, Blight, Spirit, or any other speedy killer, allows you to sneak up on survivors incredibly quickly and undetected as the gen you just kicked regresses. If you sync Trail of Torment with Dragon's Grip, you have a bit of an insurance policy, where somebody may wait 30 seconds before they touch the gen, removing your undetectable effect from Trail of Torment. In the event that you stagger their uses, this could further throw survivors off. Kicking a gen with Pop Goes the Weasel while Trail of Torment and Dragon's Grip undergo their cooldown could be a good way to play mind games with survivors. The next time you see survivors and you don't have Pop, run them off their gen, kick it, walk away. See if they proc Dragon's Grip or give you a ton of free gen regression. Go elsewhere, proc Trail of Torment so you can keep them further guessing. It does cause you to stop and kick gens a ton, and that's the largest weakness to this build, but when staggered, it's a huge guessing game for survivors and a lot of fun for the killer. My biggest caution for this build is that if a gen isn't at 25% completion and you use Pop and Trail of Torment, your Trail of Torment will immediately enter cooldown as the gen stopped regression, causing you to waste your undetectable status effect. Now you can get Dragon's Grip from Blight at Bloodweb level 30, you can get Trail of Torment from Pyramid Head at Bloodweb level 35, and you can get Pop from Clown at Bloodweb level 40. Now we have perk combination number 4, Monitor and Abuse plus Infectious Fright. This is probably one of the most popular combo builds in the game right now. Monitor and Abuse is a popular perk that shrinks your terror radius by 8 meters when you're not in a chase, and expands your terror radius by 8 meters when in a chase. This also gives you a field of view increase by 3 to 10 degrees. Combine this with Infectious Fright, and you have a strong information perk combo. Infectious Fright, of course, causes any survivor within your terror radius to scream when you put a survivor into the dying state. If your terror radius is larger, then of course there's a greater chance that you hear a survivor scream, of course. In which case you can slug your current victim and go after the next one, or at least run them away. And in this way, of course, it also helps you from taking pallet stuns or flashlight saves if you're forgetting to check for these things before picking up survivors. Monitor and Abuse also has the added benefit of giving you a smaller terror radius before getting into a chase, and it allows you to get that much closer to survivors before they hear you, scatter, and run. You can obtain Monitor and Abuse from the Doctor at Bloodweb level 35, and you can obtain Infectious Fright from Plague at Bloodweb level 35. And we have perk combination 5, Hex Ruin, Hex Undying, and Tinkerer. Okay. I was hesitant to put this nightmare combination on the list because in my heart of hearts, I genuinely believe this perk combo makes killer players lazy. But I also think that Hex Undying will end up being nerfed, even if slightly, here in the near future. Let's start with Hex Ruin, which regresses any generator that isn't actively being worked on at between 100 to 200% normal speeds. This perk, of course, turns a dull totem into an active totem. Then we have Hex Undying, a totem perk that reveals any survivor aura who is within 2 meters of any totem for 4 to 6 seconds. It also allows for any cleansed active totem to respawn on a dull totem. What this is intended to do is if someone cleanses the Hex Ruin totem, for instance, instead of your perk going away, it'll respawn on an available dull totem, if any exist. Now, Hex Undying is also a Hex perk itself, which means if it gets cleansed, its power is destroyed, of course. And if you add Tinkerer to the mix, you have a very strong, oppressive early game build. Tinkerer gives you an audio-visual warning when a generator is at 70% completion and grants you the undetectable status effect. The general build idea is that you get notified via Tinkerer, which gens are nearly complete, which aren't. You rush to that area with no terror radius, and you scare the survivor off of said generator before they finish it. Hex Ruin begins to passively regress the gen, and as survivors try to cleanse Hex Ruin's totem, it will respawn a few times until all totems are inevitably cleansed or Hex Undying is cleansed off the map first. These Hex perks aren't meant to last the entire match, of course, but to give you an early few hooks without losing too many generators, which can set you up for victory, of course, in your late game. Cleansing Hex totems will also distract survivors from doing generators once they realize Ruin is in play, and time not doing generators is time in your favor. Hex Ruin is obtained via Hag at Bloodweb level 35, Hex Undying is obtained from Blight at Bloodweb 40, and Tinkerer is obtained from Hillbilly at Bloodweb level 40 as well. Now we have a bonus combination for you. This one's one of my favorite ones. It's kind of slept on and it's really enjoyable. Play with your food and Nemesis. Now, at first glance, we have Play with Your Food, a perk that grants you a token, up to 3 tokens, once you enter Chase and drop Chase with your Obsession. Each token grants you between 3 to 5% additional movement speed, and you lose 1 token when you hit a survivor. Now, if you add Nemesis to this, you have a fun little combo. Nemesis makes it so that if you become blinded, stunned with a pallet, or stunned with lockers, the individual who did so will become your obsession. They also become oblivious for 40 to 60 seconds, and you can see their aura for 4 seconds. Essentially, if you get hit with a pallet or flashlight saved, someone becomes your obsession, and if you break chase with them, then you get a movement speed buff because of play with your food. I think this combination is particularly important because at the beginning of certain maps like Ormond, or if you even look at Gideon Meatpacking Plant, there's tons of pallets you need to get rid of. So in your early game, it's great. You can get a few tokens, get stunned a few times, and then you have 3 tokens. You can really catch up to people. And on killers like Ghostface, Myers, Bubba, Billy, where you can expose people or instantly down them, you have this chance to really get up very close, very fast after shredding a few pallets when they have much fewer resources and take real good advantage. So you can get Play With Your Food from Michael Myers at Bloodweb level 35 and Nemesis from Oni at Bloodweb level 40. And those are it. Which combo is your favorite? What have you not tried? Let us know in the comments below. Of course, unclench your jaw, get some water, get some sunshine, breathe. The air in your lungs means you are alive. And of course, we will pray to the entity to see you in the next video.